Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the MMLA Connect podcast. We have a member of the MMLA today, Katrina Cole with Guild Mortgage. Katrina, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is fun. Great way to start my morning.
Heck yeah, I'm excited about it. We've grown closer over the past few years of working with the MMLA, so I'm excited to share your story because you're a pretty dynamic person and you do a lot for the MMLA. So I'm excited to have you on today. So thanks again for sharing your time with us.
Happy to do it.
So getting into it, Katrina, tell us about your career, how you started, how you got into mortgages, and where it all started.
So like most everyone else, this was not the plan. I wanted a job when I was going to college. So I had the great plan of going to college full time and having a full-time job to pay my way through college. And so I applied to actually a mortgage company and an insurance company. And the mortgage company happened to make me an offer faster. So I started working at a mortgage company right before I graduated high school on a team. It was 2002, and it was a wild ride of refis. The company was a broker, which most were back then. So definitely got to learn the hard way. It was old school. We had LOs calling out of phone books to call people. We were dropping about 10,000 pieces of mail every single week, and the phones rang off the hook. We'd be there till 8 o'clock at night. We'd come back in the morning and everyone's voicemails are full, and you just get through it as much as you can. Very interesting. I mean, being able to do loans under 500 credit scores with really high DTIs out of bankruptcy is relatively soon. It was just a very different world, and I was adamant.
Open your eyes, huh?
Yeah, I was adamant. I'm like, I'm going to college. Like, I'm doing this just to pay the bills, and I'm going to go off and I'm going to move to a big city, and I was going to school for marketing and advertising management and double majoring in HR management. So I'm like, I'm going to go do something fun in a big city, get out of here, and I am not doing mortgages. And my boss told me, no, you started, you're never leaving. And I'm like, yeah, you're wrong. And here I am, 20 years later. Yeah, for sure. So
you were at that company for how long?
I was there for, I want to say it was just under 4 years. It was 3 years, and the partners split, and I went with one of the other partners to his company, also a brokerage still. And then from there I went and I worked for a builder. That was probably one of my favorite jobs. I helped manage the office and all of our new construction builds with a team. And we had our one mortgage LO that did all of our financing. And we had our one real estate agent that listed all of our houses. And it was like the perfect little team until the owners started to not agree very well. And I got out of there before things got messy and then that's when I went to a larger mortgage company that was starting to do branching. I worked through the branching environment with a little over 500 and some branches at one point. And yeah, just a little bit of everything. Yes. Have made my way through the industry. I'd say I've touched and done about everything except appraise a house and underwrite a full loan. And I've touched pretty much every other area of the business. So I love it. I get the full perspective. I can appreciate everyone's role and what each one of those pieces do to get us to our closing table.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, as I reflect back on what I've learned through the MMLA and through the MBA School of Mortgage Banking, is when you learn the other parts of the business, even if you're not in those, you become so much more effective at your job and what you're doing. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And it's appreciating it. So many times people can be like, oh my gosh, why is my underwriter asking for this? This is, I don't need this. And you're like, okay, but understand where they're coming from. Maybe you do need it, maybe you don't. And we can, have a good, discussion on that, but appreciating kind of where they're coming from. Same thing with processing. I mean, how many processors I've seen over my many years that people will just like lose their mind on. And you're like, hold on, like, do you know what this person does? How many files they touch? What they're doing along the way. So it's truly being able to have that appreciation, and even right down to, you just went through your school of banking. So understanding even the rate side of it and, especially working in a branch environment for so long. I was working right under the president and vice president, and knowing how much control a company has over individual rates within a company, how that's determined and why they, determine where their rates are when they, at that moment, but also understanding what's happening deeper behind the scenes, the saleability and the cost basis of each one of those. I think if people understood that a little bit more, maybe they would not be so upset when they're thinking like, oh, why are my rates so out of whack? I need my
Yeah.
rate lower. And you're like, okay, well, where do you want to take that from though?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. How much more do you want to pay for that interest rate, right?
Exactly.
You might
You
be able to
always got
get
to
it, but
consider that.
it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and you had a good point too. It like being able to explain to members or clients, if you will, just like why things are the way that they are. Like we
Mhm.
asked for another pay stub because this one didn't have any of the information we needed on it, or
Right.
whatever. Right?
Right. I need
There's
to
a
see the bonus.
reason why we're asking for another document or something further, right? And being able to explain that before they even ask the question, I think is where it really becomes powerful, right? You're sending over the explanation while you're asking for the documentation or whatever, right?
That is always the biggest thing. I think that's at this point, so I help manage our office and work with our teams and our individuals. And that's always the biggest thing. Every one of our monthly check-in conversations are like, okay, how do we make it so that no one is calling and asking questions? How are we always preemptively providing the information we know that they're wondering or that they're afraid to ask sometimes? And how are you making sure that people are reassured along the way?
I know I'm doing a really good job with my clients when I get no phone calls during the
Yes,
mortgage process.
that is the
You know,
best. Yes.
like we're just clear to close, and then we schedule it, and they're like, "What?" And yeah, when you can do a good job of answering all of the questions up front, or as many as you can. Obviously, things pop up along the way, as we
For
know.
sure.
Good grief! That's why nobody stays in this business, forever. Well, sorry, that's why some people don't stay in this business
Mhm.
forever.
Right.
Some of us do, but yeah, I mean, it's a new journey every day. Something new comes up, but yeah, trying to be able to set people up for success and having the right
Right.
expectations is vastly important to our business for sure. So I wanted to look back. We haven't really talked much yet on what you're doing with Guild, but I see on your LinkedIn here that you do wedding stylist and event planning. Do you still
Yeah.
run that
Yeah.
business?
So my fun little like girly side thing, I guess. So when I've always done big event plans, like big. I guess it kind of started with the Women's Council of Realtors. I did their holiday party for like 6 years in a row. I planned all of it, and I'm always like, what is people's big deal? Like planning these big events. They're really not that hard, and they definitely can be a lot of fun, and you can have some creativity and almost like how much can I do on this budget kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so then I got married like probably 2 years or so after I did my first big party, I guess I would say. And then I was like, okay, I have all these connections, I have all of this stuff. I hate the word workaholic, but I am. Like I can't sit still. I don't just sit and do nothing well. So I'm like, I've got some extra time on my hands. And I had a friend who owned an event planning business, and I had some connections in the bridal world. So I was like, okay, hey, what if I start, just dabbling in planning weddings and stuff like that. And I started more on the stylist side, working with brides, really to pretty much put together their whole attire, figure out color palettes and all of that stuff. And then I did full wedding planning for a little while. Like I'd only do 2 or 3 referral only weddings a year, mostly people from out of state that were getting married here that, didn't have time and energy or had some crazy family
Yeah.
dynamics where they're like, please don't let my mom take over kind of stuff. And so I did that, and it was super fun, but I'm like, okay, I only have so much time on the weekends to devote to this. So now I still do, I want to say I do about 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours a month that I'll devote to a local boutique, working with them and their brides. And it's still my way of like, let's go do something super girly, very
Yeah.
different from our world, because I can walk somebody through the process. It's still very consultative and educational based, but we're doing it with fashion. And once they kind of have their dress and all of their things, picked out, I get to just leave. So
Yeah.
I can go there and be there for a few hours and work with some people, and I get to leave. They're not following me on my cell
Not following
phone.
you. They're not texting
No,
you and
like there's
saying, "Where's
no,
my appraisal
like,
at? When are we
yeah, I mean,
closing?"
maybe a little like Instagram messengers here and there with some of them, but that's
Yeah.
more fun than it is like the job following me. So that's my little outlet of, okay, girly, creative, fun. I love fashion. I love clothes. I love all that stuff. So my random knack that I have of, let's just start talking about fabrics and beads and all of the things, and I can go on for days.
But that's good, like the fact that you were able to see something that you were good at and, turn that into a business and something that you're still, finding joy in doing and helping others. That's pretty special.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in this, I don't even like to call it sales, but the sales aspect is so different. I mean, it's still, again, very consultative. Like there's not ever really truly a sale, but it's just very interesting that that sales aspect of it. I was always amazed how much it relates back the processes, and honestly some of the training and some of the things that I did really early on was some of that related back very well to the mortgage industry and stuff I was able to bring back to my LOs and just be like, okay, let's think about it this way, and let's talk more about like truly like painting the picture and just doing some of the stuff. And yeah, they feed into each other very well.
Yeah. And like, it helps you to problem solve in different ways and think about
Mm-hmm.
like in different ways when you're working on a completely different business. The concepts are all the same, right? Like when you're trying to get a sale, you're trying to, when you're going against someone else or you're trying to convince someone of, something. Yeah. I mean, it's super important for sure. So I love that you're continuing to do things that bring you joy and aren't just in the mortgage world. I mean, we love mortgages, right?
You got to
We've been doing
you got to
it for
like
a
turn it.
long time.
My husband's always like, can we turn it off like right now? Can you? I'm like, okay, I'll try. And then we'll be
I,
eating dinner and I'll run into somebody and then it's like, oh, look it, no, it came right back. So you can't really turn it off.
Same. I've started to realize that like there's no difference between myself at work and myself not at work because for
No.
one, we're digital. We can go anywhere we want. We can do our job wherever we can, which is awesome. It allows
Mm-hmm.
a lot of freedom, tons of freedom. Love that. But it also means that you got to answer phone calls and send emails and do things at odd hours or, times that most people aren't necessarily working if
Right.
you're going to get back to people and you want to get the sale. So you have to be okay, with if you're going to not be in the office, then you got to make that time up elsewhere.
Right. I mean, we have to be insanely flexible. And
Yeah.
I feel like I give a lot of credit to, everyone with families, like having kids and having to juggle, like not feeling like you're constantly working and having them be like, oh, the phone rang, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I can only, I don't have children. It's me, my husband, and my dog. And I always think about like the times if my husband's saying something, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine like people with kids and a spouse or significant other that's also just like looking at them like, really?
Yeah. I think we all we figure it out,
We
like
do. We do.
whatever it
Hopefully have
takes,
those moments of
whatever it
just like
takes, we get it done.
turning it off, hopefully for at least a small period of time.
Yeah. When our head hits the pillow for sure.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say, you mentioned something about members reaching out or I call them members because, LMCU is a credit union. So I'm used to
Right.
calling them
Right.
clients reaching out on Instagram and social media. I know a lot of people, there's mixed reviews and I'd say most people think, negatively of social media, but I find that it's been a great way to connect with clients in both either a professional way or a more personal way.
Mm-hmm.
They find out things about you that they may not know or understand, and you can also educate people. I know you show up on social media quite a bit. What would you say about how it's affected your business or why you continue to do it?
I feel like everyone does need social media for the fact of we need to remain relevant and in front of our spheres, our clients and potential future clients. I don't know that so much of it. I struggle with I want to become an influencer and I'm trying to do all of, to me it's so much, it's general marketing practices, and I started doing social media when, I mean, Twitter just became a thing. So like one of my jobs at one of the bigger companies I worked for was managing like creating our original like social media profiles on Facebook and Twitter, and LinkedIn was still not such a big thing. At that point, Instagram didn't exist. And blogging, oh my gosh, there used to be, I think the platform's still around. Active Rain was like the number one blogging platform for anyone in the mortgage industry. So like so much of that was like, okay, how do I do, 7 to 10 blogs a week? And then I got to get it out on social media. And that was a huge way of us bringing in potential lows and branches and just people, because it's getting that recognition on more of a national level very quickly. And then also trying to focus on keywords so that you can get local, very hyper local focus. And so I embraced social media super early, and I've always agreed it needs to be a piece of the puzzle. It has evolved very much and has changed so much since kind of the original start and how we used it. Now, to me, it's just like you want to make sure people at least recognize your face, even if they don't know your name as a potential client. If they happen to have seen a video that you posted or a post that one of your clients comments on or shares, and now they run into you or they do see some type of advertisement for you, or you're referred by a realtor, it's that one more like, wait a minute, I think I know that guy, or I
know that
heard
person.
of him. And so that's so much of it, it's the random like bumping into somebody and all of a sudden being like, we know each other. Oh wait, we know each other because we follow each other on Instagram or on Facebook. And it's that little bit of a connection. I don't focus on, and even really in our office, I don't push the focus so much on do social media with the intent of bringing in leads. You'll get some, and a lot of those clients are definitely people that we love working with that are going to be more like, here's your path to home ownership. Here's a plan. Let's plug you in. Let's get you there. But I think it's using social media for education is the number one thing. If we can use it for educating people and informing them. And when we're doing that, I think a lot of times we got to think about more like green content, something that's going to live forever more than some flashy things. Because then I always love that when
TikTok
everyone's
trends? You're not down with TikTok trends?
yeah, like somebody will call about something and you're like, that product doesn't exist anymore. Or
Yeah.
that was like the amazing $25,000 down Mishta. Oh my gosh, we still get people that call about that. And we're like, we're sorry, like that product is not happening. We can do 10.
They ran out of funds a while ago.
Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't get published. So I mean, there's just, I think using it for education and doing it in a way that shows your personality. It shouldn't be a rigid script that you're reading.
Yeah.
What you're saying should be, you can have the same message in your words versus mine versus, somebody else, and allowing your personality to show through. And I think that that's probably one of the biggest things is instead of just a blank slate business card where here's your photo. Oh, that person looks nice. I guess I want to work with them. Now they could actually go and hear your voice and see your mannerisms and the way you talk and decide if your personalities would fit well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I always say to people that ask me about it, I'm like, listen, to me, it's like a 24/7 opportunity for someone to interview you. They can go to your page, social media page, and they can see all the videos that you've posted, right? And all the content, and they've sort of gotten an interview with you if you're showing up, right? So that's kind of the way that I try to look at it.
Yeah, if nothing else, it's always, it still stands so true. You need to Google your own name. And if your true self, your content isn't what's showing up first, you have work to do. And some of us have much more common names, or like, how am I ever going to get to the top of this? Somebody's, a professional athlete, or, a well-known doctor, or I've seen some interesting ones where you're like, they're in the news for not good reason. Let's just try to get you up there so that they can at least tell you're in a different city. Like, let's focus there. But you need to be able to write your own story as much as you can online. And that's what social media is doing. And some platforms are a bit stronger than others of staying there. And again, that long-term content. These days, I definitely slack majorly on doing anything on Facebook. I'm kind of over it. But, you still got to put something there. LinkedIn is one of my favorites, but it's more professional and less noisy, though that's changing.
Yeah. It's changing. LinkedIn
Yes.
is changing. I
Yeah.
got on the LinkedIn train a few years ago, and it has changed so much in that
Yeah.
couple years, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
It
but
has.
it's still a good platform.
It is. It's still, I don't know, to me, it's still at least the least noisy, and it allows me to customize what I see more. So I'm good with
Yeah,
that.
for sure. But yeah, I mean, thanks for touching on that. We took that topic, deeper than I thought we would, and I'm appreciative of that because I do think so many people struggle with it and just don't want to do it. They think, why would I do that, or I don't need to do it. But I do think the people that have been doing it for the last few years, or the people who have adopted it now, are going to see years down the road. That's where the returns start coming. I
It's
know for
long
me,
term. None of it
yeah,
is short term.
for me, it's like finally people are starting to recognize, right? And it's been
Right.
probably a 4 or 5 years of consistency at least,
Mhm.
at least a couple posts a week to 3 to 5,
Right.
again, you gotta just not try something, you gotta stick with it and be consistent for it
And
to
you don't
show
have to do
results.
all of them. I think people go wrong when they think that they have to do all of them.
Yeah.
Pick one. If
Yep.
it's the one you think is the easiest to post to, whatever the reason is, just pick one and try to do really great there. And then if you're comfortable of adding, then slowly add another one.
Yeah, for sure. So I wanted to also talk about the fact that you're like the volunteer of the year every year, pretty much. You're huge volunteer with the MMLA, but you're also with Women's Council of Realtors as well,
Mhm.
and also your company. You do a lot of stuff with them. But uh, why do you get so involved, Katrina, and why do you continue to do it?
Yeah, I mean, naturally, my personality, I'm a connector. I very like big vision, big goals, and to me, one of the best things that we have the opportunity in our industry to do is to give back. And some people want to just give back in different ways with money. That's helpful to some degree, but to me, it's so much more. Like I think we can make so much more of an impact when we're giving of our time and our knowledge. And so that's kind of always been my big thing. Definitely, if I'm going to overextend myself somewhere, it's going to be in volunteering for organizations in our industry, but then also a ton of nonprofits and some other things that I do work with. I think I just have that, giving of my heart, time, energy. And I feel like we need to. I mean, the MMLA, I mean, this is an organization where hopefully we can build the next leaders. I mean, from when I started in the industry and even from when I first started with the MMLA, age demographics, thank goodness, are definitely, they're changing and they're evolving, but we still have a much more seasoned individual that is the average age in our industry. And so how do we make that not intimidating to young people, and how do we get them involved, and how do we do that? And so to me, like that's a big part of my involvement with MMLA is like I would rather, it's a great opportunity. Like I have met so many people. I mean, I think technically we met through the MMLA. There's many people that I've met through the MMLA that I probably would have come in contact with in our industry just with other things that I do. But to have the relationships and the important relationships outside of our own companies, to understand what other companies are doing, and just to know other people in the industry that we can call on, we can refer a lead to if it's something that we can't do, or that there's a better product that somebody else is offering, or that they can help a client with something. So to me, it's so much about just being a giver, and I love to connect people, and I can only connect people if I know enough of them that need each other. And so that's a big piece of it. Who The Women's Council I got started with sooner than MMLA, mainly due to probably the company I worked for particularly was liked the idea more of being involved with the Realtors Association than a mortgage association. But also that was one of the biggest things. I got licensed to teach continuing ed for realtors in 2005, I think. So I was already constantly in front of realtors. And so that was, again, one of those natural things like, oh, okay, how can I get back to your industry? How do I get an opportunity to meet more realtors and to do these things. And starting on those boards really helped me gain even more insight into leadership and building, I guess, community within small organizations that really branches out into much larger areas. And so
Yeah.
I got to learn a ton from that, and really creating a lot of things from the ground up, mainly with like our local women's council, of creating our entire website, figuring out how we're going to have, manage a roster of people. They're a true nonprofit, so there are no employees. So everybody is a volunteer, and it changes every year. So very, very good learning opportunity early on.
Lots of change, right?
Sometimes not knowing what you got yourself into and being like, okay, we need to do what? Okay, we'll figure it out. And I mean, even like the holiday parties, I mean, the first one I ever did, I was just like, okay, great. I can do all of this. How much money do I have to work with? And I was literally told, as much money as you can make. And I'm like, okay. She's like, as much sponsorship as you can get is how much money you can make. And I'm like, all right. And we had a really good party.
Yeah, nice.
But I mean, that's one of those things, like most people, it's like, here's a budget. Like, we have a budget, follow the budget, do this. No, they didn't even have a budget. So I had to create a budget. I had to create a spreadsheet. I had to do all the things. And then some of that too, then helps down the road to make it systematic so that you have kind of a format to share. But yeah, I feel like anyone in the industry, they need to find their passion of how do they give back. Some people, being in front of people all day long is kind of something that can really drain some people's cups, I guess. If they're anxious or they're just like, no, I just can't do the big crowds and all the people and it's just too much. I'm the person to put me in the biggest room with the most amount of people, and I will be the last one standing. Like I can be there. I can do it. And that definitely fills me up more than anything. It definitely doesn't drain my battery.
There's something about that human connection, I think, that drives people like you and I. I'm the same. I will say I do enjoy being on my own and having complete silence from time to time.
Yeah.
But the more I've realized that, the more I've also realized it helps me when I am with other people to enjoy that connection and really utilize that time. But I'm the same way. I love being around people. Give me a big crowd, a game or a concert or whatever, and I'm going to be feeling the energy for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. I would just really encourage everyone to find their thing. And if that type of stuff makes you anxious, find one thing, just one area that, you can be giving of your time or your knowledge. We are in a spot where I think the more that we can stay close as, our own mortgage community and grow each other and lift each other up, it's important. The industry has been very hard on some people this year. Others are doing very well, but there are some people that are definitely struggling. And I think, it's important for all of us to recognize that and to, remember that, we're all in this together in a roundabout way. I mean, we have our company titles and all of that, but our industry is a great thing. And it's amazing for us what we do every day.
Yeah. And, that kind of circles us back around to the MMLA, right? I mean, like you've been involved for, I think, over 11 years now. I was looking at the roster according to LinkedIn. You were the 2019 Vic Miller Outstanding Member Award winner, 2019 president as well that year. And it's 2025, just so you're aware.
I know.
You're still involved.
Time
goes
You're still
fast. Involved, right?
Yes.
I think that's my most important take, is that you continue to stay involved. Some people come and go, but you again, that consistency thing, Katrina, like you're the epitome of it, right? You've stayed and you continue to stay. So we appreciate it. But talk about your MMLA, like why do you continue to stay involved?
I mean, much of what I said, like to me, it's my give back to our industry more than anything. I would say, I mean, I've met so many great people through it. I've early in my career starting, I was working for a small company. Everything was like very, very ultra local. And then I got to a point where I'm working on a national level. And so I'm getting to know people all across the US. And so when I scaled back away from that a little bit, it was kind of like, okay, well, I never really focused on knowing just Michigan. Like I knew local, but I didn't really know all of Michigan as much and understand, even all the little pockets of, communities that we have with so many great mortgage professionals and people like in our own state. And so MMLA kind of opens some of that up where it's like, okay, cool. Now I can get to know these people kind of all across the state. So again, if you end up in a situation where you need a referral and it's in a different area, or just understanding what some of these other companies bring to the table is huge. And even not just even our mortgage, but even all of our like partners that also are a part of the industry. And MLA serves a great purpose for, I feel like, each company and each person in a different way. Some people, it's the camaraderie, it's the education, it's making the relationships with people. Because in some people right now, like they might be working from home, they don't really feel this close connection,
Yeah.
to their offices, and this gives them an opportunity. If they've been with the same company for a super long time, we can kind of feel very boxed in. And so to be able to talk to somebody and just be like, you're in the same boat. Okay, I thought it was me. I wasn't really sure. I feel like we get, to me at this point, the community aspect of it is probably the biggest piece. And then depending on what people have offerings as well from their companies, like there's some great speakers that get brought in. There's some great knowledge. There's a huge opportunity for anyone who wants to take that next leap and try to like build themselves into more of like a leadership position and understand, okay, what does it take if I want to, be the president of a local chapter, or if I just want to be on like the board of a local chapter, or join the state. What do those things look like? And they can do it in baby steps. Just can open people's minds up to leadership as a whole. And I think that takes us to another level in our career. You can be amazing at, originating loans, but, what else, do we want to do? And I feel like, and that's very much me. I'm always like, what's the next thing? I need to know what the next thing is. What's the next goal? So that's probably what keeps me involved. It gets hard when I start checking the boxes to things and I'm like, oh, okay. Yep. So for me, I'm still in it and I'm still doing it mainly because of relationships that I've made where I'm like, I can't leave this year because I have to support this person who's the president and they want my help. Okay, I can't leave this year because now I've got this person. And
You're
most
never
of
gonna
us
leave, Katrina. You're never gonna leave.
I always like,
we won't let you. We won't let you. I'm just telling you that right now. You may not always be as involved, but you're gonna be involved.
And that's always the thing. It's like, and it's also stepping back a little bit and making sure that you're giving someone else the opportunity to do it. So I feel like that's part of it too. Like for any of us to come in and take a specific role and then just sit there, I think is not doing anybody justice. Like you need to mentor and help and train the next person to take that over. And they're not going to do it exactly the same. It's going to be a little bit different. You may not agree with all of it, but you're giving that person the opportunity to learn and grow. And their new perspective hopefully is going to help the organization as a whole as well. And I think, I got into the MMLA just because I had a friend who was going to be president. They already had it planned. It was going to be like 3 years out. He was going to be president of the West chapter. And he asked me, and I hadn't joined the MMLA prior because of my past company and some other things that it wasn't a good place and time for me to have joined earlier. If it wasn't for my friend, asking me to get involved and teeing it up where it was like, nope, this person also said yes, and then they'll be president, and then you'll be president after them. And like, we pretty much kind of had a succession plan with our West chapter for probably like a good 6 years of just like, who's next. And that allows that mentor process.
Well, we are appreciative that he, told you to get involved because you continue to be, it worked out in his favor, your favor, and our favor, I believe. Yes.
And I'm very proud of what our West chapter has done. It's very happy.
Yeah, it's been great. You've been involved a lot longer than I have, but to see the growth and just the young people getting involved right now, as you alluded to. And I also wanted to touch on not only that, but, we were talking about things, and I think so many loan officers just look at it as like, what is this going to do for me? Like what? Mm-hmm. But these cliches out there, and one of them is your net worth is your network, right? And I think there's definitely truth to that, right? The more people you have, the bigger your network, and I guess the higher up the people are in total net worth or whatever, and the more people you have in your connection, then you're probably going to make more money, right? And you're going to have more opportunities to make more money if your network is bigger. And that's another reason why we do this. Would you agree with that?
Yes, like I said earlier, I'm a connector. To me, like my Rolodex cannot be too full. I would rather
Yeah.
just know everybody and have and truly like know and understand them, not just know their name and not just know what company they work for and what they do, but truly like get to know people goes so much further. And when we start, and I understand the challenges of an individual who has to pay their own way. Like I get that. They're like, oh, if I'm going to pay, what am I going to get? Well, you're going to get more than what that money is worth at the end of the day. And, but it's only going to be as good as showing up. So to me,
Yeah.
that's also a big part of it. You don't just pay to be a member to be a member. You just show up. You need to attend things, and get out, get to know people. And it doesn't even have to be at events. Just look at the rosters of who's in your local chapter, who's around you. Have coffee with somebody. Just
Yeah.
get to know each other, and that's really where the benefit comes in. And yeah, like lives are challenging. We've all got a lot going on. You can attend every event, but at least get the events saved in your calendar that you can attend and attend them. And I think once you've attended a few events at the local level and at the state level, I think that opens people's eyes a little bit as to, oh, okay, now I can understand. Maybe I can't put into words or exact dollar figures what I'm going to get out of this, but I'm getting something and I know it's worth it. And I think
Yeah.
that that's the bigger thing. Yes, you don't, as a mortgage person, you don't join the MMLA to get a deal. That's not the right mindset. I think
Yeah.
people need to come at it with a different mindset. Like I want to grow myself as a leader and I want to make the right connections and grow myself as an individual in my group that I know and who can I refer to or just call up and run something by. It's the
Yeah.
relationships that
Yep, for sure. And it's something I always talk about too. Is you make these relationships and you find these people, and heaven forbid, should you lose your job or need another job, I know a lot of us all have connections where we could call someone up pretty
Mhm.
easily and be like, hey, I need and we have those connections where we can do it.
Mhm.
And that's not the goal, but that's important, right? You have a support system that gets built in within the MMLA.
It is. And I mean, I even think of it more of, the random resumes of people that come across my desk and they're not a fit for us, but I immediately in my mind can pop it. My head is like, oh, okay, I'm going to send this one over here. I'm going to send this one to
Yeah.
these two people. And I'm going to tell them, I'm like, hey, I've got a friend who I think would be a perfect fit here. I've forwarded your resume. They'll reach out to you. And again, it's how do we connect people together? I feel like that part of giving is where it really comes full circle. I mean, you're putting that, positive energy out there. You're making sure that, you're taking care of others before worrying about yourself.
Well, speaking of taking care of others, I feel like that's kind of what you do, Katrina. But
Yeah.
let's focus on you as a non mortgage or real
Mhm.
estate industry person. Tell us about who the real Katrina Cole is, what you do when you're
Mhm.
not. I know we talked about it. You're kind of always wearing the mortgage hat, but
Yeah.
like when you're not in the office or thinking about, mortgage things, what are you up to?
Well, we talked about I'm playing with like bridal things. I definitely that's my little side guilty pleasure, I guess. But other than that, I mean, I have a big family. I'm one of 5 kids. I'm the oldest, and I am the one who apparently
Ooh,
does have to keep everything together and take care of everyone.
you've been tasked with that by being the oldest.
Oh my gosh. And it's, yeah. It's one of those things where I'm like, oh, now it's easy. Like my siblings are like, they're grown up. They've got their own lives. But now my parents are getting of an age where I'm like, oh no, it's like there's 2 new children that have like popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So our family is very close. We all still live in West Michigan. So I spend quite a bit of time with my family. One of my siblings has 2 kids and they are spoiled rotten by the rest of us. So we spend a lot of time with them. And my husband is phenomenal. He plays a handful of travel sports. So we'll travel around and he'll do his sports. And normally I make a vacation out of it when I actually find time to get away.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love food. I love good wine. Addicted to coffee, more for the flavor. Honestly, mushroom coffee lately is one of my favorites.
I haven't tried it yet.
You haven't tried
You
it?
like it?
Love it.
Ah,
Absolutely love it.
all
And
right.
like you have to
Noted.
find the right one. I will send you that information because if you try the wrong ones, they're rough.
Yeah,
But no, get
sure.
a little less acid so I can drink a lot more of it. But yeah, I just to me again, it's being with people more than anything. I do have my moments of yeah, it's really nice to have the house to myself and quiet or just go to the spa and relax. But for the most part, I like to surround myself with people and I just need to
Yeah,
constantly be going and doing and having fun with
connected.
those in my tribe.
Yeah. And you, like you said earlier, you said you're a connector, a super connector. So like,
Mhm.
can't connect people if you're not around them, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, for
So
sure. Well, Katrina, it's been wonderful. I bet you we could probably chit chat all day long here.
most
But
likely,
I do want to get things wrapped up here, and we always leave the listeners with something positive that we can
okay.
leave them with, whether that be personally, professionally, or both. What do you got for us?
I would say that this is definitely the season in our industry to keep doing what we do so well. We make such a huge impact on people every day, whether it's getting them into their homes or right now even possible refinances. But remember at the heart of what we're doing and why we're doing it and don't get discouraged. You know what you need to do. Do the simple things and find time to take an inventory of how far you've really come and like what you've done because we're all doing great things that I think we're too hard on ourselves at times for that and really have a bigger impact on people's lives than we take credit for. So just
Yeah,
remember that, like remember your why. We're doing it for our families and obviously our incomes, but the bigger purpose is much larger. So we're changing people's lives every single day. And so I think that would be my big reminder, get involved in your community and just continue doing what we do.
we we get involved in the minutia details so much, right? That we sometimes forget about the importance of what we're actually doing. We're
Right.
we're building communities. We're helping people with security and finding a place to raise their families, and putting down roots. It's
Yeah,
a as cheesy as it is. Like we have a pretty important job, and the more you can focus on that, I think the better off more loan officers and more borrowers will be. Right?
absolutely. Yeah. We got to get out of our own heads a bit and just focus on what we're really doing and what impact we're having on that. And
Yeah,
so it
for
makes our
sure.
days just a little bit better. Try to stay positive no matter how bumpy things may feel.
Well, there you go. You heard it straight from Katrina Cole. I thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for
Yeah.
the MMLA Connect podcast listeners. Check back in with us another time. But once again, Katrina, I want to thank you for your time, your talent, and your treasure, and for sharing it with us today.
Thank you for what you're doing, Steve. It's great and you're great at it. So thanks.
Appreciate you. Thanks again.
Thank you.